Have you become a private eye in your relationship? Do you feel like you're constantly looking for the lies from your significant other? Do you feel like they're lying to you, but you just can't figure out what they're lying about? Usually it's because when you ask them questions, they give you vague responses, very black and white, extreme comments, and you never really feel like you know the truth. Well, watch this video because I want to talk about when you fall into the phase of being the private eye, why you do it, and how to get out of it. You've gotten to the point where you sound like a broken record, constantly asking questions, trying to get to the truth, and it seems that the closer you try to get to the truth, the farther you get. Sometimes, and in some relationships, we may feel like we have to be a private investigator. We might feel like we have to be in the FBI or the CIA to get the truth out of the person we're dating. So what's really going on? You know, I found that in many relationships, especially people that are in a relationship with somebody that might be suffering from cluster B dynamic or cluster B personality disorder, many times some folks can be extremely vague in their response, extremely black and white thinking, and a lot of times we, as the other person on the receiving end, can feel that, okay? But we really don't know what's true and what's not. And in most of these relationships, when you're kind of gone up and down on the roller coaster of the relationship, there's been good and bad times, but there's also been probably some infidelity and probably certainly some untruth telling. Okay, and so what happens here as we go through this relationship, usually one person is constantly trying to figure out, is this person telling me the truth? Should I continue the relationship with them? Okay, am I looking like the fool, or are they really being honest? And when you're in a relationship where there's manipulation and gaslighting, right, and the fear of losing them, all that stuff swirls around, and you begin to think that up is down and down is up and that your ass is your head. So what do you sit there and do, and what do you need to do when you begin to investigate this other person? Okay, what I've found is that most of the time, folks know that there's something off. They know that the person's not telling them the truth, but they just don't know what point of it is not the truth, okay? And I understand this. I've been there before where I'm trying to figure out, okay, you're trying to figure out where they were the night before. They didn't come home. They didn't call. There's some vague information about what they tell you. They're kind of telling you, like why are you worried? What's going on? You're making a big deal of this. And you're not really getting any sort of answer. It kind of feels manipulative, which it is, right? But you're just trying to get an answer of truth. And so as you pound to get more and more truth, it seems that you keep getting farther and farther away of what's really happening, right? So, and it turns into an argument about something completely different. It segues into something, and then you never really get there. And then eventually another situation takes place and we're back again. And so what I found is that when we get into that PI or that sleuthy type personality, we're doing it because we know in our gut that we're not being told the truth, okay? Now, whether it's every single thing, probably not. But what happens is we're on high alert. The other thing is that we're just not looking at the big picture, okay? And we're not really looking and dissecting what the person is saying. You know, there's many, many examples, but, you know, some of the things that I've dealt with my clients, when you step back and you just speak it out loud, what the other person has told you, it sounds really crazy. However, when we're surrounded by that day after day, that doesn't seem very out of the norm at all, okay? And I want you to begin to ask yourself, would I have told my significant other that story? Would I've said it that way? Would I've given more information? Would I've not? Is it okay that the way that they spun that or they said that? And I really want you to kind of sit and think about it, because what happens in these situations is we begin to lose our identity. The more and more we lose our identity, the more we let them get away with whatever, because remember, we don't have any boundaries and we're not really holding them up to accountability. Okay, they've never had to be accountable. They've never taken accountability, and we've never asked them to. And so again, that's where we're kind of fumbling in the dark, right? And so some things to think about. One, to step back and look at the big picture, okay? Why do I feel like I'm trying to catch them on something? If you're not lying and you're not cheating and you're relatively somewhat confident in your own body and in the relationship, and that's where you really are, your questioning of them, there comes with some sort of reality. Now, I don't know if they lied to you yesterday or the day before, and I don't know about what, but there's something that you know is off. And I think that a lot of times in these toxic relationships, we're looking for that one piece of evidence. The one piece of evidence to prove the fact that you need to get out of the relationship because you were right. Why do you have to wait for the one piece of evidence? Why can't you just realize that that uncertainty and that feeling of uncertainty and that feeling of toxicity means something? Okay? And what I found too is that a lot of folks, once they leave the relationship, they end up finding out a lot of things. Okay? But some people, and I understand, some people have to wait for the big evidence to come in. And when it does, it can be very harmful and very hurtful. And I've had clients that have had to go through that. You know, whether it's STDs or, you know, somebody being in a relationship with somebody else and hiding it, somebody having a child with somebody else and hiding it. All those things are extremely tough to deal with. But sometimes we have to go all the way there to see that this whole time we've been being lied at and lied to on a constant basis. But I really would like you to start looking into yourself and finding your own identity. And part of your identity is by respecting your gut and your feeling within yourself. If something feels off and it's constantly off and it's part of this relationship, you need to take a step back and see what needs to be augmented or how to get out of it. Because you're not supposed to feel like somebody's lying to you all the time. You're not supposed to feel like you have to be on guard all the time. You're not supposed to feel like you have to walk on eggshells all the time, okay? That's not what a positive, healthy relationship is. And so when we are in these toxic relationships, we subconsciously know it's toxic. We're part of the toxicity. Whether you're codependent or we're part of the toxicity. It's not that this one person's a bad person. Okay, nobody's bad or good. That's so black and white thinking again. Everybody has shades of gray. So there's good parts about them, maybe not some good parts about them. But it's like, what do we do at that point to stop having to look for that one piece of evidence and begin to understand that this relationship is toxic? And to understand where and what part we're playing of the toxicity, to understand how to eventually pull back emotionally to see the situation clearly. When we allow emotions to really cloud our judgment, we allow somebody to manipulate us and gaslight us to keep us into a toxic relationship. They keep us in, but we also keep ourselves in by getting in our own way. And part of it can be the fact that we've actually been in this relationship and this was our self-sabotaging behavior. We didn't want to do it to ourselves, beat our own self up mentally and emotionally, but we found someone else to do it. I hope this video has helped you think about it. If you have been being the private investigator in the relationship, why? Ask yourself, what are you looking for? What is the piece of evidence that you need to leave this relationship? And why do you have to wait for one piece of evidence to prove that you were right the whole time? Just some food for thought. Hope this video has helped you. Please subscribe to the channel, and any comments you'd like to leave on when you realize that you were being the PI in the relationship, or better yet, what was that big piece of evidence that you were looking for? Was it to prove that they were cheating? Was it to prove that they did it? Was it to actually figure out exactly who they were with? I'm interested. In the meantime, share this video, help your friends and your family, and don't forget to live your true life.